All right. Well, good evening. Wow, what a great turnout. I pause not only to acknowledge that because there are more people here than show up for average city council meetings, but because you all care, obviously, about aquatics, which we're here to talk a bit about tonight, but from my view, really about the future of this community and the investments we must make to make this place ensure its future success. Thank you all for being here. For many of you, this might feel a bit like deja vu. We've been here before. We've talked about this issue for a number of decades, and we hope that this effort is one that produces an end result, a product that we all can count on for generations to come. I know that many of our city council members feel the same way about the issue of aquatics and wanting to make sure that the city does the right thing this time around and ultimately, as I said, produce a product. If you're wondering, rightfully so, if the city will have a place for our community to recreate, to learn to swim, and come together, I'm pleased to share that not only am I, but city council members and the city staff are committed to making this a reality and to making sure that public aquatics is accessible to all of our residents for future generations. Public aquatics has been a component of our city fabric for over 100 years, and in the past few decades we have seen 5 regional facilities and pools close, leaving the greater Wisconsin Rapids area without a single municipal pool. I can understand the frustration that has probably come across yourselves or your children or your grandchildren this course of the summer, and on a day like today or the weather we've had recently, we know Mead Pool would have been a place that would have been hopping with activity, to say the least. The purpose of tonight is, first of all, to get out of here in as close to an hour as possible, to get you on with your evening, but also to show you the menu of options the City Council will consider to solve its aquatics needs. And before I call up our 2 presenters, I want to call up a group of Mayor's Youth Council members. So if you want to come to the podium, we've got 3 individuals who introduce themselves and talk about the issue from a youth perspective. I sat in a Mayor's Youth Council meeting just recently, and it was reflected upon me that my generation couldn't get this done. About 15 years ago, or 12 years ago, 10 years ago, I was in their shoes. Mayor Wrudzinski was mayor at the time, and this same issue was being discussed. And unfortunately, we sit here today without a single municipal pool or a place for our residents to access. And I have a feeling that this generation will be able to make it happen. So without any further ado, I want to go ahead and turn it over to them. They also have a short video I want to get queued up for them here too. All right, ladies, it's all yours. This is the microphone you want to use.
Hey. Hi, I am Claire Free. I will be a freshman this fall at East Junior High School.
Yeah, turn that. There you go. How's that?
Hear me now?
Better? Yep.
Here? Okay. I'm Claire Free. I will be a freshman at East Junior High School this fall. And one of the points that we have discussed about this hopefully new pool that we will be bringing to Wisconsin Rapids is bringing the youth in. How this summer, talking with friends, we want a place to go, and a lot of times that is outside of Wisconsin Rapids. We want something to do here, and I feel like this pool would be a great way for us to hang out with friends and to bring more youth in to Wisconsin Rapids and just get things going, have a lot of fun here.
Hey, Claire. I'm Lexi Allward. I'm a senior at Lincoln. One of the other issues we talked about is opportunities. This pool will bring opportunities for swim lessons, a place for kids to go and have fun in the summer, a safe place to hang out, and job opportunities that will come to Rapids because of the pool.
That was my first concern. I'm like, these microphones are going to be too tall for me. Okay. Hi, I'm Ryan Swanson. I'm also going to be a senior at Lincoln High School. So one of the things we just talked about is how our peers, ourselves, we've talked about how we want somewhere to go. But then think about, we have grandparents in the audience, we have parents in the audience. You guys have kids, you have grandkids. They're going to need a place to go. There's going to be people after the present youth. We want to have something that's going to have longevity, something that other people are going to be able to use in generations to come in Wisconsin Rapids. I may be a senior, I may be going to college, but then when I look for a community to come back to, it might be important to me to have a pool in that community or somewhere for my future kids to go to. So change can be scary, but it can also be a good thing. And I think it's really important for our community to look at the longevity this pool could have. And it's not just us, these 3 people up here, it's not just our council. We actually did a survey. We put together a survey that was given to freshmen through seniors at Lincoln and Assumption High School, and those are going to be presented in our video, the results of the survey.
Hi, I'm Nicole Steinmetz, and I'm part of the Mayor's Youth Council. As part of the Mayor's Youth Council, we provide a voice for the youth in our community. And today we're at the Mead Pool. With the current closing of the Mead Pool, the Mayor's Youth Council conducted a survey of the youth in our area on their idea of aquatics. The survey reached 515 students, ages ranging from 13 to 18, and 9th through 12th grade. Here are the results.
Hi, I'm Keaton Daniela, and the first question that we asked was, what would you think if we built a new pool in replace of the Mead Pool? In the survey, 56% of the people said it was an excellent idea, and only 3% said it was a poor idea.
The second question we asked was, if we did build an indoor facility, would you and your friends use it? 42% said very likely, and only 5% said not likely at all.
The third question we asked was, if we built a new pool in a different location, how likely would you be to use it? 43% said very likely, and only 5% said not at all likely.
The current locations being discussed are the current Mead Pool and Witter Field. We asked the students which one they would be most likely to use. 32% said current Mead Pool, 63% said Witter Field, and 5% said other.
The final question we asked was, if we built a new pool, what kind of features would you like? And me personally, I'd like to see a diving board. Nicole, what would you like to see?
Probably concessions.
The features that we put in our survey were concessions, slides, competitive swim pool, zero depth entry, wave pool machine, diving boards, and picnic facilities. The top ones out of that was wave pool machine at 74%, diving board at 73%, and concessions at 73%. There you have it. That's the results of the aquatic survey done by the Mayor's Youth Council. The youth have spoken.
So there's the youth response to this issue and current talk about. I thank you for listening to us, and I hope that you consider the youth's opinion when talking about this matter.
Thank you. I know it takes some courage to get up in front of a group, much less in front of a bunch of lights, to talk about your peers' opinions and things. So thank you so much for doing that and representing the Mayor's Youth Council and youth in our community. First, we have a presentation of an indoor option that would be built in conjunction through partnership with the YMCA expansion here in Wisconsin Rapids. Brett, I'll welcome you to the podium, and so you can take the floor and talk through your option that's available to us.
Sure. Hopefully I can figure this all out. Well, thank you, Mayor Vruwink. Good evening, everybody. Joining me tonight is Todd Dillman, our board chair and chief volunteer officer. I'm Brett Salshetter with the Y, the CEO. We're very excited to be here, but also appreciate the opportunity to be part of the discussion concerning the future of aquatics in our region, as well as an invitation to share with residents an opportunity for the city to collaborate with the Y on an indoor aquatic center as part of its overall capital project. Aquatics, specifically pools, has risen as a top community priority. It is our belief, as our title implies, that a collaboration between the Y and the city makes us and our community better together. Before we kind of get into some of our proposed options, just a little bit of backstory. I believe it's important to note that the John E. Alexander South Wood County YMCA has been a trusted resource for delivering life-changing work for nearly 60 years. 1 out of every 7 individuals in our community, that being children, adults, and families, turn to the Y each day for mission-based programs and services focused on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility, all aimed at supporting our cause of strengthening communities. More specifically to aquatics, the Y here locally as well as nationally has been a leader in aquatic recreation for over 100 years in aquatic programming and management experience. We truly believe we're a committed and trusted resource through our expertise, knowledge, and passion to serve. When it comes to aquatics in our community, it is no secret, as we've been already discussing, that conversations about longevity and ultimate replacement of our aging aquatic facilities goes back well over 16 years, with various groups and individuals leading that charge throughout the time. More recently, Mayor Vruwink formed the Pool Ad Hoc Committee in the fall of 2014, aimed at studying the future uses of our needs of aquatics in our community, but also the Mead Pool, and looking at finding viable solutions to this pressing need. We too, as an organization, have needs with our aging aquatic facilities. So it only made sense for us to be participating in those conversations that date back well into 2010. So we've been at this work collectively and respectively for quite some time. And although a lot has happened over that time, our goal has never changed. We both agree, the city and the Y, that we need to address aquatics in our community. We serve our community, and we want to make sure that we have our community interests at heart. And if we see an opportunity to work together, then we look to take advantage of that. For us at the Y, our work has been really focused about how we plan to expand our programs and services to best serve our community, most of which has been centered around the development of a new YMCA in Wisconsin Rapids that would include an aquatic center in partnership with the city. Although the plans are still early in the stages, there are two potential locations identified for the project. The first at our existing location on Pepper Avenue, next to Lincoln High School, and the second being out on Highway 54 next to the Expires Doctors Clinic, which is an emerging healthcare hub. We anticipate that this facility would, if a partnership was to come to fruition, would be in 2018. But this new partnership is or I should say this building is more than a building. It's about creating a center that will look to improve the health and well-being of children, adults, and families through a new continuum of care, a place for individuals to get connected and feel a sense of belonging, an opportunity to further our community outreach. So for the Y and the city to partner, the community gains more than just an aquatic center. You gain a safe place for kids to be with friends and discover their best self. You gain a place for adults to reclaim their health and learn new things. You have a place for parents to get connected to other parents, creating networks of support and friendship. Partnering with the Y on aquatics is more than building a pool. That said, addressing the aquatic needs of our communities is a key component of our project, a component we desire to do in partnership with the city versus going alone. The partnership that we share, or the partnership we share with you tonight, demonstrates two indoor aquatic options, and is based upon feedback we've learned from the city, the community, and from other communities across the country. The concept of YMCA's and municipalities partnering on aquatics is not new. It's not uncharted territory. There are over 430 case studies of YMCA's and municipalities partnering on indoor aquatic centers. In most examples, the situation and the theme is the same. We have aging or decaying pools, and combine that with limited financial resources, make replacing those assets a challenge. Ultimately, what we've learned from those case studies is that it proves that when it comes to aquatics, collaboration works, that by utilizing shared resources and collective will, it results in the highest and best use of financial and human resources. You eliminate duplication, you experience true cost savings, and provides greater use, stronger programming to a wider diversity of user. Our indoor options are really focused on that, really indoor versus outdoor. And the reasons why is this. It's not to say that there aren't many positive attributes to outdoor aquatics. There are great benefits to that. But as we look in comparison to indoor and how that might partner with a Y, we feel that indoor may provide a greater return on investment. Namely, which is around the climate and the environment that we live in. You know, our summers are beautiful, but we're limited to outdoor access. And quite honestly, you would have anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks of access in an outdoor pool as compared to an indoor pool where you have year-round access. Hours of operation. You have limited hours of operation, whereas partnering with the Y, we have over 5,000 hours of operational use each year, from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. That provides greater access for individuals to aquatic recreation. But quite honestly, I really believe that the investment in aquatics is really about an investment in children, providing them with a positive outlet and activities to keep them happy and healthy for generations to come. Having a pool that is connected to a Y is going to be a very positive and enriching outlet. You go for aquatics, but you'll stay there for the other experiences. So let's look at the options. So for us, we have two options, which we're showing a rendering up here. We're proposing in this first option 2 main bodies of water, one being a family recreation pool with slide and splash features that you would see at a splash pad, and other play structures. There would be shallow water activities, or shallow water as well as deep water, and in combination with that, a 6-lane hybrid tank pool. As part of this design, there'd also be a large co-ed whirlpool, and it would involve an environment that would be temperature controlled and it would incorporate a lot of natural light. So you can kind of see that from the floor plan here. Our overall floor plan is one that's just over 14,000 square feet and would accommodate a bather load of about 335 individuals at any given time. Having the 2 pools allows for a greater variety of programming as temperature can be different between them, warmer versus colder, thus creating a wider variety of users, children, adults, older adults, and families. The design allows for not only greater programmatic opportunities, but it also allows it to happen in multiple user groups at the same time. You can run swim lessons as well as open swim, lap swim, all in conjunction, gaining the greatest use of that asset at any one given time. And those are just some of the examples of the programs that we'd be able to offer, from family recreation like teen nights and youth nights, to warm water therapy, to swim lessons from preschool to senior, general swim, water fitness, adult lap swim, lifeguard instruction. The aquatic environment would look to incorporate features such as you see here with an indoor rock climbing feature, or inflatable play that allows for greater flexibility for use between family and youth and general adult time versus being locked into sometimes a set structure, as well as youth interactive pieces. All in all, we believe that this indoor option really provides a dynamic, fun, multi-generational environment. The anticipated cost for this type of aquatic option is about $4.9 million. That includes not only the structure of the building, but also to furnish that with the mechanicals, the slides, and other features that would go along with that. The expected life of a pool of this would be a minimum of 50 years. But as you would expect, the annual cost to run an indoor pool versus an outdoor pool is higher, to the tune of about $352,000. We would have you hold on to that thought because we're going to touch upon annual operating costs in a moment. So as we look to say, okay, how do we solve this issue together between the Y and the city and for the community, it's really about recommending a full project partnership on the development of an indoor aquatic center, where the city would commit to underwriting the cost of the aquatic center, while the Y would look to provide all the long-term operating costs, so no costs to taxpayers, for the length of that asset for 50 years. Residents would be given 2,500 hours of access each year through round, and that'd be year-round. That is definitely greater access than what you would have experienced in an outdoor setting. We will look to remove any financial barriers to access by providing a reduced rate to the aquatic center similar to what residents experience today, $2 per visit. Residents will not have to be a member to use the pool. This also ensures that it remains affordable and accessible to all. The Y would also is looking to provide swim lessons at a reduced rate. Actually, for 10 years, the Y would provide swim lessons at the member rate, which is a 44% reduction than its typical non-member rate. We throw out the 2 bodies of water, or really 3 bodies of water, because we believe it provides the greatest amount of access for residents without compromising that access for residents or Y members. So Y members and Y residents, or residents gain as a result of that access. It also provides the greatest flexibility in terms of use and function. So just a little bit of summary. Partnering, as it has happened in other communities, definitely shares in costs. If the city partners with the Y, there would be a $1.5 million savings in the cost of a development of an indoor pool, because the Y would assume locker rooms and lobby space, so it wouldn't have to recreate those spaces with an indoor aquatic center. The Y would bear all annual operating costs. As I said, no cost to taxpayers beyond that. We provide greater daily and yearly access, as well as year-round access to the facility. And we expect a useful life of 50 years for that asset. We see the Y, as well as the Aquatic Center, as an economic driver, not only in the events that we can hold from swim meets and the overnight stays that creates in our community, but also job creation, not only within aquatics, but also in some of the other partnerships that are being formed within the Y, related to our Healthy Living Hub in UW-Stevens Point and Midstate around health innovation. Overall, we're talking about a capital investment of the Y of about $18 million in this community. That's a big investment. So roughly for 1/3 the cost, the community gains a community center. The Y is definitely a proven partner. We provide a sustainable partnership through management and expertise, and we also can make sure that we can manage that through our maximizing programmatic pieces within the center. But overall, together, we're improving the quality of life for our residents together, addressing community priorities about young adults and families, access to recreation. But it's also stuff that we've heard from you. When we did a market feasibility related to our center, 80% of of the survey results or the respondents' results really came from non-Y members. And what we learned when we asked them about partnership between the city and the Y on indoor aquatics, it was met with 62% high favorability as a good use of funds and as a good partnership. We know that the city has embarked on its own market feasibility surrounding aquatics, but we feel that it does represent a good use of our collective strengths. And that's really what this is about. When we look at partnerships about how they formed in other communities, the opportunity before our community and the Y is about how we use our collective strengths, using shared resources, all with the intent of addressing community need so that we can realize improving the quality of life. If there was a lesser financial contribution to this for consideration, that is our scaled down scope or low scope of option B, which is demonstrated in this rendering. It would be one body of water, around 8,200 square feet, and have a bather load of 200 individuals at any given one time. It would still have the slide and other play and interactive features for the children of all ages, but would have a smaller lazy river and would look to incorporate 4 lap lanes within that design. The way we would see this partnership is really more about a partnership for access, that for a lesser capital contribution of, say, X of $2 million, the Y would be able to provide residents 200 hours of access per year. Specifically, we would see during the winter months, assuming that the city were to try to do something outdoor for a term of 20 years. And again, keeping it accessible and affordable to all, with keeping a rate reduced at $2 per pass. We'd also look to provide swim lessons to the community at our ongoing member rate for 5 years. So before I turn it over to Todd, I really want to just really kind of touch upon really one or two points, and that is pools are heavily subsidized. They are definitely a thing that matters to quality of life for all of us. It affects all generations. But when we think about pools, it's more than just the cost of building pools. It's about the cost of operating pools, and it's eventually the cost of replacing that pool. And those are important things to keep in mind as we think about the options in front of you. Again, we're an organization committed to strengthening community. We support the future direction that city leadership and its citizens decides. This is about doing the right thing at the right time. And at that point, I'll turn it over to Todd.
My words will be brief. I'm the chief volunteer officer on the Y, and I've been I've been on the board for 9 years. But I'm speaking to you more as a community member as well, and somebody who has children in the community and own businesses in the community. I think the Youth Council hit 3 great points that I applaud them on. Longevity. Brett's talked about longevity in this pool as far as an indoor cooperative collaborative agreement, which is fantastic, and 50 years is clearly longevity. A place to go. What better place to go than a place like the Y in a collaborative agreement between the city of Wisconsin Rapids as well as the YMCA? It's a safe place. It's built on strong family values. And it's a place where you know you can go as a youth and meet with others and have a great time. Jobs. The other thing they hit on was job creation. Obviously, if you have something that's going to give you 2,500 hours of access versus 500 hours of access, somebody's got to be there to take care of it. That gets you more jobs. So it's hitting the 3 most important points that the Youth Council came forward with. Next, you think about what else is happening in this community, whether it be the Encourage or what's the meeting after this is WHIPS. You think about the collaborative things that are trying to happen in this community right now. It only makes sense when you think about it to say, why don't we work together and figure out a way to save some dollars, but yet not even save dollars, but come home with something better, something potentially that's going to give you more time, more feasibility, and more use. You can break it down to the finances if you want. Yes, from the initial building cost, you're going to save $1.5 million a year, because obviously if the Y builds a building, they're not going to build another locker room. If you build something outdoors, you have to build a locker room. So that's initial cost savings on the project. And then at the Y, we're absorbing, or the Y is absorbing the annual costs going forward. Whatever those costs are, you can argue the numbers as long as you want, but there is no annual cost to the city to take care of the indoor running operations of a pool inside the YMCA. The YMCA absorbs that. And it absorbs it for all members' access. We do not want to hurt the access of anyone in this community to get into a pool. We're offering, it's not a deal. Right now, if the mead was there, it would be $2 a day to go. We are keeping that at $2 a day for the first 10 years going into the Y. So no one will be turned down going in there as far as being able to get to the Y into the pool. You don't have to be a member. The $2 is the same. The swim lessons are at a reduced rate. We're willing to do that. We understand the community need of people learning how to swim. It's not because we're garnering all kinds of dollars for that. I know people look at this as a jaundiced eye, as the Y is trying to gain money and gain people. No, we have a community service that we need to provide, and we're willing to do that. If you think of 2,500 hours of pool access, it's easy right now. Everybody grew up with an outdoor pool. That's the way we did it. But you think of here right now, it's easy to say, let's do an outdoor option. But I want to have the same talk in January and February when people are looking for something to do, when the youth are looking for a place to go, when somebody's looking to have a pool party on a Saturday. What better place to do it at the Y? And you saw those features. We can have those same features indoors or outdoors. It doesn't matter, but you've got to be able to get into the place. And in January and February, you're not going to get in there. Year-round programming. Obviously, we can do all kinds of things at the Y. That's our job. Programming is our job. Our job is to get youth involved and get them to learn. And what better spot to do that than inside of a pool, inside of the building of the Y? With no increased expense, saving dollars. And think about the last thing. We just had the ski show here this weekend. Clearly, that's a revenue generator for this community. We have the state cross-country meet. We also have the state gymnastics meet. If we go with the larger pool version, obviously it's hypothetical, but right now you can't have a swim meet at our local high school. The water's not deep enough. If we build an aquatics facility with 6 lanes, once again, we can have aquatic meets here in our community. You can't do that outdoors in the winter. So I speak to you in more of a collaborative effort and understand that there's all kinds of numbers and you're going to hear all kinds of things. But think about what you gain in, number 1, a collaborative agreement, number 2, what you get year-round with the YMCA in an indoor facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett, and thank you, Todd. It's been a journey for us. I know we've gone through a number of iterations about the Y's expansion here in the Wisconsin Rapids area, and we're excited about every prospective way to make that project a reality. And so, thank you for sharing your perspective on ways to improve the health outcomes of people living in the Wisconsin Rapids area. I'm going to struggle to pull up Burbach's presentation here. I thought it was right there queued with it, but it's not. So let's go ahead and get that loaded here. When you're using someone else's computer, you don't always have access. Which one is it? There we go. Okay. So earlier this year, the City Council felt that it was important to have the general idea of a modern-day outdoor municipal facility options as it considers solving the aquatic issues facing our community. As such, the city issued a request for proposals from firms capable of providing general scope and conceptual design for an indoor facility. Burbach and Associates was selected as the firm, and in the course of the last 3 months, Burbach has spent time considering 2 sites for an outdoor facility: Mead Park and Witter Park. They've also begun to look at the Wisconsin Rapids and surrounding population to consider demand within their scoping exercise that you'll hear from shortly. I'll now turn it over to Josh from Burbach to walk us through the work that they've completed in the last number of months. Josh.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, as the mayor stated, aquatics has been a part of this community for 100 years now, and I just wanted to say, as a representative from Burbach Aquatics, I've got Andy Pennekamp here as well, one of our engineers, and just wanted to say thank you to the City of Wisconsin Rapids for including Burbach Aquatics in this project. A little bit about Burbach Aquatics. We've been in business for 38 years. We only work on municipal facilities and only on aquatic centers. So we specialize in this area, which we feel is very key. We've got 0 failed pool vessels, and our latest facility just opened up in Hartford, Wisconsin. And as the mayor stated, the scope of services for the studies was to give them better understanding and layouts of different amenities and options for an outdoor facility, and different budgeting levels, and make sure it's sized appropriate for the community. But what do you use a swimming pool for? There's 4 uses. You have recreation, wellness, competition, and education. The pool committee that we worked with did a large consideration for recreation in mind. A recreation pool vessel with a 0 depth entry that allows for easier access into a swimming pool and that encourages family recreation use of the facility. These types of facilities experience a wide range of patron and age groups and are well received in other community facilities. This type of pool vessel is most user-friendly and provides a broad spectrum of enjoyment for patrons. And as Brett stated, an outdoor swimming pool, you've got 8 to 12 weeks of use. And primarily what you want to do in the summer is swim and play. So we wanted to make sure we hit on the recreation part, and the main goal of the project was to provide a family-oriented recreation facility with amenities and site improvements. And just for discussion's sake, we use 3 different categories of pools to break down the area that they serve. A neighborhood pool, we qualified as 500 square feet of water surface area. A city pool from 5,000 to 10,000 square feet, and a regional aquatic center, more than 10,000 square feet of water surface area. Part of this scope was to determine the service area for an aquatic swimming pool. And as we looked at competing pools in the areas, there isn't really a lot of competing pools in the area. There is a semi-public pool located not that far away, and then 2 pools in Stevens Point. Wisconsin Rapids has a maintenance service area, and maintenance just water demand, basically, for outdoor recreation, of 61,000 peoples within a 16-mile radius. And when you expand that to 30 miles, it's over 100,000. And as we took that information and as we developed the conceptual plans, we sized them conservatively between 6,000 square feet and 14,584 square feet. There's 2 types of pools. The Mead pool was a traditional box type pool. And those traditional box type pools, excuse me for 1 second, sorry about that. They were typically very common in the 1930s to the 1980s. And they were used for residents returning home from the military, and they were from 3'2" to 12 feet deep. And they were used as training pools, so to teach swimming lessons and to provide a place to cool off. The average length of stay at those typical box type pools was 2 hours. And your typical patron use was 90% youth to 10% adult. And then you switch to family aquatic centers. These family aquatic centers are multi-use facilities, and the average length of stay is 4.5 hours. And typically, you see an average increase of attendance from 3 to 8 times versus your box type facility. And it also changes your demographic, where you have about 60% youth and 40% adult. And the last part is regional aquatic centers. They will attract patrons from a 35 to 45 mile radius. And part of the benefit for economic development, when developers look to place their company in your community, they're looking for a well-balanced community. And public opinion polls show recreation in schools at a virtual tie. And as far as how that affects your community, typically, as a multiplier, the dollar amount used on a single visit for a destination type attraction, which excludes an overnight stay, is $7. So say if you're able to get 25,000 visitors to the facility, that would equate to $175,000 to the local economy. And we provided several different conceptual plans to the city of Wisconsin Rapids. The first 2 were just kind of trying to see how different size facilities fit at the different sites. And I believe the city council has version 1 and version 2 in their packet. And I'm going to skip to version 3 because that's where we developed that concept a little bit more. This is a 8,890 square foot facility with a 3,444 square foot bathhouse. It has a large 0 depth entry pool with spray features. It's located at the Whitterfield location, a water walk, 1 single water slide, a 1 meter diving tower, shade structures in a concession area. The patron load on that one was 468, and it had an opinion of probable construction cost of $5,382,000 and an operation subsidy of $55,500. Version number 4 was at the Mead location. This concept has a large lazy river, a 4-lane, 25-yard lap pool, water slides, shade structures, and a concession area that's located centrally for the ball fields. The ball fields were reconfigured at Meade Field, so it gave it a lot more central location for the concessions, so you would be able to use that concession stand more than just the operation of the pool. That version was 8,486 square feet for water surface area and had a pool patron capacity of 351 patrons and a total patron capacity of 512 patrons. The lazy river length was 268 feet. And version number 5 was a conceptual site plan at the Witterfield. The bathhouse is located between the current Witterfield and the warming house of the skate park, and sorry, not the skate park, but the warming shelter for the skate rink. The skate rink was relocated to the north, and it's got a large lazy river, 2 large water slides, additional shelters added to it, additional parking added to it as well, large zero-depth entry, a spray pad, and again, 4 25-yard lap lanes, and a diving board as well. This is more your regional aquatic center. It's 14,584 square feet with a pool patron capacity of 570 patrons and a total patron capacity of 737 patrons. And version number 6 was, well, what do we do at the Meade location if, we locate to Witterfield? So it was a conceptual plan showing a 1,300 square foot splash pad using the Meade bathhouse as public restrooms and also a spot to store your mechanical for your splash pad as well. And this is kind of a breakdown of the different versions and opinions that were given. And we also broke out, because if you looked at all the versions had lazy rivers. We also broke out the lazy rivers and gave the pool committee costs of those too. But version number 1 had an opinion of construction costs of $4,668,000. The operating cost was $49,900. A water surface area of 8,486. And a total pool patron capacity of 512. Version number 2 was located at Witterfield and was more of a regional aquatic center with a lazy river that had a total opinion of probable construction costs of $7,911,000 and an operating cost of $76,200 and a total water surface area of 14,584 and a total pool patron capacity of 737. In version number 3, probable construction cost of $5,382,000, operating cost of $55,500, and a water surface area of 8,890, and a total pool patron capacity of 468. And version number 4, $5,158,000 for construction cost, $49,900 for operating cost, and a total water surface area of 8,486, and a total pool patron capacity of 512. And then version number 5 was $8,403,000 with an operating cost of $76,200 and a total water surface area of 14,584. As far as the version number 6, a splash pad at the Mead location would, just depending on size and amenities chosen, would be from $150,000 to $300,000. And as far as operating costs for our recirculating splash pad would be $15,000 to $20,000. And they also asked for kind of a timeline, how long is this going to take? And after the city takes a course of action, a selection of a design firm would be in September of 2016. And then it would take until December to develop plans and get it out to bid in February or March. And then you would see the grand opening of Wisconsin Rapids Family Aquatic Center in June of 2018. That is the end of my slideshow, but I really would like to thank the City of Wisconsin Rapids and everyone involved in this project. As you can see with everyone here, aquatics is definitely a big proponent in the city, and we'd like to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Flip back over to our other slide here. So the question you all are asking, and you see a lot of dollar signs up on a slide, it's fair to question whether or not the city can afford an investment such as this in any of the options in aquatics. So the short answer to a question of can the city afford this is yes. An investment of $5 million, such as we saw in whether it's an indoor or an outdoor option, both of which the city has available to it, considerable bond capacity, borrowing capacity that is untapped and sort of could be reserved for an investment such as this. So how would the city accomplish a $5 million investment? It'd have to borrow for it. It wouldn't be something we could fit into our operating budget, but under revenue limits at the state level, we have one tool available to us, and that is to borrow. And so we would do that through 20-year bonds. So we'd issue notes for 20-year investment, and we all know what attractive interest rates we have right now. There's no time like the present to invest in aquatics at about a 1.7% interest rate, of which we just borrowed for recently for some infrastructure and street projects. What would this cost taxpayers? Another fair question I think many might be wondering. On an average $100,000 home in the city, it'd be annually a cost of about $33.80. So really a small cost. So that would be the cost to bear the construction and the capital to invest in any number of the options that have been presented. The operational costs, we presently budget about $75,000 in the city budget annually. So those dollars are already set aside, so to speak, to continue to operate a facility here in the community. Brett alluded to an ad hoc group that had spent considerable time exploring and analyzing these options and studying the issue of aquatics more recently, I'd say about 4 years ago. And we all understand that collaboration is not only essential when utilizing public dollars, but also can create better outcomes. You can have greater impact potential, et cetera. So partners, we've referenced a few tonight with the YMCA, obviously the city, and then other partners that may have come into the fold through the process. But partners that we haven't referenced include the Wisconsin Rapids Public School System. We know that they operate a competitive pool at Lincoln High School, not only for competitive swim purposes, but also physical education and swim lessons in the summertime and summer school. And I would call on the City of Wisconsin Rapids School District to analyze their needs and consider ways that they might consider partnering in any number of the options in which the city may proceed to address its aquatic situation. We all know that dollars are scarce, especially capital dollars, and we want to make sure that those dollars are used wisely. So I'd encourage you to speak to your school board members, speak to district administration, to encourage them to continue to have conversation with us at the city level, as well as other partners such as the YMCA, as we all hope to realize this situation and realize projects. Following this, beyond the Wisconsin Rapids Public School System, I would say if you're from a municipality that isn't the city, where you claim your residence. I'll be following up with a meeting with our neighboring municipalities. Now, the plan is not to sort of bring them all along before we build the system or build the facility we look to achieve, but to invite them to consider ways in which their municipality could consider a capital contribution to offset the city's contribution, or to emulate or have a facility that serves a much greater purpose and greater service area and people than what the city might build on its own. Again, thank you for coming tonight. I want to indicate a special thank you to those who took it upon yourselves to invite a neighbor, bring somebody along with you to hear about what the city's plans are, as well as the many of you, or a couple of you I should say, that took flyers and went around the community over the last number of days to spread the word about tonight. We were live streaming it, attempting to on Facebook tonight, and I think Jen's still back there live streaming. Hello to those that are watching via live stream from wherever they might be, as well as to community media. So Wisconsin Rapids Community Media or River Cities Community Access, public access station will be streaming this recording live or at a later date. A renewed investment in aquatics will send a strong signal, I believe, to our fellow residents, businesses, and investors, which the City Council fully understands, and sends a strong message, I think, and we can't underestimate that to those who are concerned about Wisconsin Rapids and the direction the city is headed. I think that this is a perfect opportunity, and the timing is right, of course, without a municipal pool or a place for our residents to enjoy their access to aquatics. This is a great opportunity for us to lead and take a quick, scrutinize the options adequately, but then also make a decision, certainly to have a facility open to the public in the future. We will not be taking questions tonight, but you were given a note card, or if you weren't given a note card on your way in, grab a note card on your way out. We will answer all your questions. If they've got your information, contact information, we'll follow up with you directly. But I also want to make note, we've got a couple of other ways you can email us, whether you have an opinion or a question. We've set up a city email address, aquatics@wirapids.org. Go ahead and send us your opinion, pose a question. Contact your alderperson. There's a couple of them in the audience here tonight. On your way out, we've got a flyer, if you didn't grab it on the way in, with the contact information for our city council members. They'll be weighing on this subject tentatively scheduled for August 18th at City Hall. That's a Thursday at 6 p.m. It'd be a special city council meeting solely for the purpose to deliberate and select a path forward as it relates to aquatics. We don't plan to select a design, but we do need to make a decision about what path we're going to proceed on. You heard two options, whether it's an indoor option or outdoor option. There's obviously options within those and many details to be worked out. But we also want to acknowledge the frequently asked questions. So if there are questions that come up more than once, we plan to acknowledge them in what we call frequently asked questions document, and we'll publish that out there. But if nothing else, you've got access to email. Make sure you send us an email so we can get you looped in on future updates as it relates to aquatics. We want to keep you abreast, but also make you aware of opportunities for you to come and voice your opinion. That meeting at August 18th will have an opportunity, if council members so choose, to recognize members of the public to speak on the issue. But they're certainly available. They, as we all did, chose to run for office to hear your opinions. I believe every one of us on the council and myself, I'd include myself in that, are great listeners, and we want to hear your opinions. So reach out to us in any number of ways, and we invite you to continue to stay involved. This is only the first step of many that need to be made and decisions that need to be made to really ultimately have a resolution to the issue of aquatics. So thanks again for being here tonight, and encourage you on the way out to, if you've got a question on your mind and don't care to send us an email, leave it on a note card, and I'll personally or somebody at the city will respond to your concern directly. Thanks again.